And this is This Week in Car Audio. Tune in, tune in. This Week in Car Audio. Tune in. When we talking about bass, I'm talking about chips, talking about rings. You ain't got them, zip your lip. You got a problem, you haven't found, check your grounds. The show about to start. Tune in. This Week in Car Audio. Yeah. Tune in. This Week in Car Audio.
Welcome to This Week in Car Audio with your host, the Judge, Doug Stockton, co-hosted by Mr. Jeffrey Fernandez. What's up, Jeffrey?
Hey, Doug. How you doing?
Just fine. I'm trying to share right now. I got a little behind. We got a little dead air up there. Do a show this weekend or anything?
No, just kind of hung out.
All right. What you got planned for the 4th?
I'm actually in the process of moving.
What? Again?
Well,
to Dallas?
When we initially moved back from
Yes.
Texas, we moved in with family.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, we're going to kind of move out on our own. We found a place, so we're going to be moving tomorrow. Yeah, the 1st. And then
nice.
We just have a feeling it's going to, luckily it's our day off, so we're just going to kind of take our time.
Take it slow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it just so happens it's going to be around the 4th of July, and it's going to suck.
So, moving deeper into the valley or closer to the shore or right in the same area?
Pretty much the same area.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
No, that's great to hear. Yeah, I heard they had another show set up last week, I guess, somewhere. Joel? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Joel's trying to kill it out there, trying to put on as many shows as he can. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I have currently liked and shared everywhere I can. So anybody else that may be watching, listening, blah, 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 like, share, subscribe, all that junk. Now I got to open up my thing and get my... Oh, there you go. Spencer. He's on the Facebook side, says hello. Before we get too far into this thing, I just want to introduce our guest. This is a break from what we normally do, I would say. Oh yeah, Jeffrey with the test. I'm trying to get it to pop up here. Yeah, hold on. Mute. There we go. I muted that. But yes, we this is something completely different for us as a bass community. But our guest, our bass girl out of Canada. How's it going, Stacy?
Everything's just great. Thank you for asking. I hope you're well as well.
Yes, always well. And for you guys that don't know, her father-in-law, who was Mike McClelland.
Michael McClelland.
Yeah, Michael McClelland. Yes, Pops, as some people may have known him. He passed away a few years ago. We actually did a show about him. So, yeah, most people know him and know about him. He was a big deal out for me personally out here in Central California. Moved out to Canada because his son moved with his wife, Bass Girl. So
yeah,
that's how
some
she's.
Of you may know Peak Freak Danny as well.
Yep,
so.
Peak Freak Danny.
Yeah, that would.
And then our other guest is Michael Williams, one of my neighbors out here, but he is a healthcare professional. Why is it not showing my... Oh, I wonder where Stefan is texting it. Oh, there we go. Now it's popping up. Mike Watson popping in. Anyway, Mike, why don't you tell us about you?
Yeah, for sure. Mike Williams. I'm a licensed marriage and family health professional. I'm licensed in California to work in mental health. I've been doing it since 2002. I do have my own private practice, but I also work in social work here in the county. So I'm in leadership there. So I have a passion with helping leaders develop in these sort of things, but also I have a huge passion helping people become healthy in their mental health. So
Yep.
that's what's up with me. I have 2 kids. Like I said, I live close to Doug down the street. Yeah, but this is who I am.
There you go. And just so everybody knows, it is National Mental Health Day. Weird, it's not showing
The
it.
whole month,
I'm
right?
sorry, National Mental Health Month
For June.
for the whole month of June. You know what? Hold on, let me do one other thing here. I think I forgot to turn on my. No, it's on. I wonder. Stupid thing, the chat's not working again. Whatever. I just tired of fighting with it. Yeah, we got Moises Alejandre popping in on YouTube. Boom and Jeff with the. Oh, there you go. Now it's working. Okay.
Oh, okay. There we go.
All right. So, anyway, yeah. So I wanted to just bring this in. We always talk about how this particular podcast is more than just the people in car audio. Mike, did you have a chance to watch that video I sent you for that particular person's version of bass therapy?
I did.
Any thoughts on it?
It's yes. So
Okay.
it's very, very interesting. I was thinking about sort of how that's therapeutic and sort of what's going on, right? And like I think people hear this all the time, right? It's like, hey, if you're having challenges, take some deep breaths, right? If you're struggling in life, do these sort of coping skills. And I think, people sort of don't understand like why, right? Like why are you taking deep breath? Like what the hell does that do to your body? Blah, 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 right? And so when I was looking at that video, like it looked like it was sort of bringing people into their bodies. And what I mean by that is, when people are in this fight flight sort of space, right, their nervous system is flying off the charts, their old school brain is just trying to do everything to protect themselves. But when you can get grounded in like what's happening right now in the moment, like it starts to sort of dissipate some of that energy, and so like that's what I was thinking about. I was like, dude, that is so freaking dope, dude. Like it's this sort of thump that sort of, or this thing that is moving through your whole body to sort of ground you in sort of what's going on in that moment, which really doesn't give you a chance to be in this fight or flight space, right? Like you have to be in the now and experience what's going on. But anyway, so that's what was going on for you. I was like, dude, this is so dope. Like, and that was the first time I saw it, you know what I mean? And,
Right.
and not experience it because I wasn't there, but that was the first time I saw it.
And for you guys that don't know, I'm talking about the Dinosaur Jr. video. Jeffrey was part of the filming on that. Wasn't a casting call or anything on this one.
No, it was actually filmed at a live event. They just happened to come down. They actually contacted Celise about it.
Oh, okay.
And she got them in touch with me, and so happened we had a show. And yeah, it was kind of cool to see the final product on the music video. I got to see like a part of my arm in the shot there.
Michael, just you don't know Jeffrey there, but so Jeffrey back in 2007, one of the times he became a world champion for a car audio competition.
Oh, wow.
And he set a record for his class that had stood for quite a few years. But shortly after that, he started becoming a judge for the car audio. And he actually, on his wrist or his forearms or something like this, it says world across the top one and champion across the bottom one.
Nice.
So
There you go.
that was his little memento. So yeah, no, that's Jeffrey. All right, Stacy, why don't you tell us about you and why you're involved with today's podcast?
Well, thank you so much for asking, and it's an honor to be on here. I listen to music to cope with my obsessive compulsive disorder. I feel that whether you have a emotional, or whether you suffer from depression, or whether you just have problems in everyday life, music sure does help make you feel happy and the real gift of playing music is the lives that we actually impact, including our own. I do hair tricks for mental health here in Canada, and it's Canadians have really come out to help Canadians. We do 30-second competitions in the lanes at FX Audio shows where the hair, I don't know if Michael, if you've seen hair tricks or not, but the judge can explain them to you. But what I do is I judge them. I put my head in the window in the opening from with the door closed on the passenger side, and the competitor has 30 seconds to give me their best hair trick, whether they can use music, they can have pushers, they can do whatever they want. And in that 30 seconds, I'm looking for whether my hair's high or wide or floating gently or whipping wildly, and whether I need a brush to run it through my hair. The best thing about it is raising the money for the charities. I meet so many people who tell me that music has helped them out, which helps me out.
There you go.
Yeah. And share for your own personal life as much as you want or don't want, Stacy. I forgot to tell you that off the thing. You don't have to let everybody know all of what's going on. But so the thing is, like she said, the big deal for her is they feel that it's so important that all the shows that Ray Choi does and she's part of, they take a portions of the proceeds, all the hair trick competition money, and they take those proceeds and they donate them to a local charity, whatever city they're in, right? That's, I believe, how you explained it to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been working with Canadian Mental Health Association and donating to them, as well as the Ronald McDonald House and different places, because all mental health matters.
That's right.
And Doug, that was the video you sent me, right? Of like the hair going wild and stuff.
Yes, that was her.
Got it.
With the purple hair.
Got it.
As you can see in the picture.
Yeah, got it.
Oh my goodness, so you saw me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, thank you. Sorry, eh?
See, she's
so
totally cool. Canadian with the sorry and the sorry. No, but like I said, really good family. I've known her for quite a while. To be honest, I'd probably since like 2010 or so.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even before that?
If not before that.
Yeah.
I think I remember selling raffle tickets at one of your shows.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it all began.
Yeah, she was actually part of one of my fond memories of Autorama.
Yes.
She came down from Canada to visit and was having a good time. So, helped selling raffle tickets with my kids, I believe, at that time, right?
Yes, it was another honor, and then I competed, and then I judge. So I'm very lucky and grateful to be in this industry and to be able to share with everybody the amount that music really does make a difference in people's lives, not just my own.
Mm-hmm. So like I was talking about, we've talked about on this show many times about the bass therapy and how you can just sit in your car and that separates you from the situation you're in. Like I believe is essentially what Michael was saying, right? You're no longer in the fight or flight. You're in, hey, this is my world. Nothing else matters but what's going on here.
I feel safe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that is a phenomenal feeling. I'm from my understanding, I'm very fortunate to not struggle with mental illness in any ways. I mean, anybody that knows me will tell you I'm fairly confident in everything I do. I definitely am. I've never once in my life thought there was a good time to hurt myself. I've been where I was in ICU for multiple days. I've been, I had to go to assisted living, most embarrassing time of my life when I had to have somebody wipe my own ass for me. That's about as low as I possibly can get. And even at that point, there was no lack of self-worth. And my understanding is people that do have mental issues, that isn't the case for them. So I feel myself fortunate to not have to struggle with those particular issues.
Yeah.
Am I accurate in that? That people have. I mean, that what I have is more unique than not.
Well, I think if this question is to me, I think if not you directly, then what's coming up for me is like I'm sure in your periphery, like you're touched in some form or fashion,
Yeah.
right? For sure. So,
Mhm.
those of us that do or do not struggle, somehow, some way it touches us in a way
Mhm.
to where, how can we be prepared to help? How can we be prepared to sort of hold space for people, meaning being a good listener, right? And
Yeah.
sort of, make sure it's about them and not making it then about you at some
Mhm.
point in the conversation. But yeah, that's what I would say to that, man, is like, although,
Yeah.
yeah, if that's how you describe yourself, like I'm sure like, like you and others, are touched in it
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
in ways that can be really challenging.
So
Hey,
for me,
real
go ahead,
quickly, I had a
Jeffrey.
question. So, Mike, what would you say would be the percentage of the population of, say, men that would side with Doug as opposed to, people who would think the other way?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. So it's not just men, but it's also race
Mhm.
of men, right? And
Mhm.
so what we know that based on your race determines what type of help you seek.
Okay.
Um, Typically, African American men and Asian men really don't go the route of finding professional support.
Mhm.
Um, but they do seek out, like brotherhood group or, their close family friends and like these things for types of support. But in my practice, because I'm a man, right? Like in our area, like a lot of my clients would be and or are men, right? So,
Mhm.
as soon as someone sees a man therapist and they're a man and they feel comfortable, either they've had experiences in the past or it's like, oh, let me check this out. Let me see, let me see, what therapy is about.
Mhm.
Then typically, me typically again in this area, um, like I had a full caseload at one point. It was
Yeah.
just all men.
Oh,
Mhm.
So,
wow.
but of course, I mean, it depends on where you live. It depends on what the
Yeah.
demographics are, et
Oh,
cetera,
okay.
So,
Yeah.
but in general, yeah, men typically connect with like friends and close friends and these things. So,
Okay. So just so everybody knows, so I'll share a personal side on here. My son has had issues, and I shared those with Michael back in the day. We would go fishing. I'd talk to that, about what we were doing with my son at that time. My mother has been twice institutionalized for mental health, and so I don't want to be the bad guy here, but the truth is, I distance myself from my mother because of that.
mm,
I, for me personally, I know that she's not in her right mind. So what she's telling me, not that she doesn't believe them, but that they aren't true. And
Mm.
so I tend to distance myself and my kids and my family from her. Um,
that's tough.
but we have other people in our lives that fill those roles. So I'm fortunate
Yeah.
there also.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and
Is
so
it is it you think that's the reason why you feel that way towards, not having an outs or a thought of hurting yourself is because you've seen it firsthand with your mother. So, I
eh,
mean, I can kind of say like my
yeah.
daughter, she has anxiety
Mhm.
and maybe some thoughts. I mean, my own personal thoughts is, a lot of the anxiety isn't, real. Maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know. I know I'm totally wrong, but so that's why I try to be the opposite. I just
Mm,
feel strongly about it, and maybe that's how you are, Doug. You
So,
you know you experienced firsthand with your mother. Now that's the
yeah.
reason why you're.
And you might not be
Yeah.
off on that, right? Because for me personally, um, my parents were a great example of of how not to live your life. So I went so different than them. My dad, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, in and out of jail. My mom, obviously, mental issues. And guess what? I don't go in and out of jail. My kids don't know anything of a life like that. And I mean, to be all honest, when my kids go to my dad's house, they're embarrassed by his house. You know, and so my kids don't know anything of a life like that, and that could
Right.
be so. That could be, like you said, that could be the reason I, you know, distance myself from my mom and feel the way I feel about my mental health, right? Because what I got to compare it to is such on one side. So everything to the sane side, we'll say, of that is better. So you wouldn't have to be very far on the sane side to be considered not struggling. So I can see where you're coming from with that, Jeff. So
Yeah. You know, the relationships we have with our families are complex. You know, like I tell people all the time, when we go into interactions, like even this interaction right here today, right? Like I'm bringing all of from the time I was born up until right this moment, like into this conversation, you know, and some of this stuff, like I can see and I can touch it and I can taste it. And some of the stuff is going on back here that I'm just unaware of. You know what I mean? Which could be fueled by fear, which could be fueled by, you know, me being anxious on this podcast and sort of being the expert. You know what I mean? It's a whole array of shit, you know? And like I would just offer that to you know, is like when we have these interactions with our families or the people we love, you know, like it's not just how we're showing up. We're showing up with all this stuff behind us, you know, that we can either see, feel, touch, taste, or it's playing out in the background and we have no clue it's playing out in the background.
Yep. Dave Bradshaw popping in with 2 hair tricks a day keeps the meds away.
Hey.
Definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Although any demo is great.
That's right. And we tell people that all the time at the shows. You come up with a single 10-inch subwoofer on 200 watts. If you're proud of your system, demo it for somebody. They will appreciate you showing off as small of a system as it is.
Yes, that's definitely the advice I would give. Get a demo no matter what system it is and appreciate the music and, like you say, it taking you away and leaving your stresses behind.
Yep.
I think music helps everybody out and that there's minimum side effects to using music as a therapy. So
Yes.
I'm telling you, there's some songs that if you play it and you know it'll take you back to like 1989. You know what I mean?
Well,
You're like,
hey,
oh
some
my
of these people
God.
weren't even born in '89. Okay.
But it could change your mood like that. You know what I mean? It can put a smile on your face, or you know, it can make you sad because that's what was going on then. You know, like it's like, you know, just to sort of share something personal with me, like, you know, when I was a young person, like my mom was going through DV, so like the whole 80 to like 88 like R&B for a long period of time, I couldn't even listen to it. Like, nope, I'm good. Like people like, oh, this is the jam, you know, is Prince back in it? Nope, sorry, change it. You know what I mean? Because again, that shit I'm bringing behind me that I can either see or not see took me back to that place of craziness. You know what I mean? And I was like, nope, I don't want to deal with that shit. To your point, right?
Yeah. Stacy, you willing to share with your little gift from your husband to help you deal with the anxiety, your fidget thing?
oh, my fidget spinner. Yes, I have a fidget spinner with an LC1 on it. And I sit by the couch and I just twist it forward and backwards and up and down and around and around. And my husband also always makes sure that our vehicles have bass in them so that I can hopefully use the therapy of music to say with my OCD, I do count a lot and I do turn lights on and off a lot. And if I can break that routine by going out and listening to the music in the driveway safely and come back in and not finish flicking the light switches on 150 times, it's a win. And if I can go out and listen to music rather than take my Xanax, it's a win. I don't know if you would agree, Michael, but I sure hope you do.
Yeah. I mean, you're exactly right. And the cool thing, right, is it sounds like someone has sort of educated you on sort of what you need to do, right? Like, how do you break the cycle? What things can you do to interrupt when you're in this ritual? You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like you're shooting in the right direction, you know? So,
I had an
because it's
excellent,
tough. It's
it
tough.
is. Yes, I had an excellent psychiatrist who I gave a demo to once with my
Oh,
two
nice.
level sixes and my 7.5K DC amp. It was a lot of fun, but he really liked that I used music as a therapeutic tool and
Absolutely.
encouraged it. Yeah.
Has your therapist potentially like shared that with someone else as, hey, this is a potential for you to use?
Yes, actually, my therapist has had me talk to other people with OCD
Mm.
and explain to them how I use the music and how it helps me. And then I can give them a demo and spread the love that way and grow the sport that way. And it's been an excellent experience for me. I can't thank him enough. And the support that I have from my husband and my family and friends, like you guys were saying, whether you have a mental illness or not, you need a good support group to
Mm-hmm.
make you happy and a good basehead family that comes together as a community and as a team is so important.
Yep.
Thousand
Agreed.
percent. A thousand
Agreed.
percent. And, you know, and sometimes people don't realize when they're having conversations with people, it could be the most meaningful conversation that the other person is experiencing that is completely taking them out of sort of this dark place that they're in. And you may not even realize it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you may not even know, you know?
Yep.
Hmm.
So,
You don't know when somebody registers for a show what's going on in their
mm-hmm.
mind. And when we talk about Hair Tricks for Mental Health and whether they would like to participate or donate, a lot of them will say, well, you know what? I use music for my child who has autism, or I use music for myself because of my depression. And to hear those moments and to have them share that with me is so special and makes me feel not alone.
Yep. Yeah. No, so one of the things I always tell people at my show, or me personally, so I can't remember Joe Gibbons was the coach for the Redskins, I believe. John Gibbons. Anyway, so he was an old school coach for the in the '80s for the Washington Redskins, and he does a bunch of these leadership um, classes. And so I've been in leadership for a long time through work and obviously owning my own businesses and running as a DB drag judge. And so I've been taking these leadership classes, and he's Christian based, which this isn't a Christian message by any ways. I mean, but he is Christian based, and his thing is, you don't know what happened to that person 10 minutes ago, let alone an hour ago, let alone their childhood. So this person is coming to you to talk to you about something. You have no idea where their mind is at that moment. And so you need to treat people with a little kindness, and you need to be patient and give them an opportunity at every chance. And because of that, I honestly think I run my businesses. I run my job as a boss on my 40-hour work week job in that manner of you don't know where people are coming from, and so sometimes people need grace. And so
Absolutely.
if you start every interaction with somebody like that, you will see that some people that people can't stand or are difficult to deal with aren't as difficult as everybody makes them out to be when somebody actually has the opportunity to listen to them.
1000%, man. We all got something going on.
Yep.
Like all of us.
Shoot, I got a ticket for 3 miles an hour over the speed limit yesterday.
Oh, no.
Exactly
How do you
3
think? Yeah,
miles.
58 and a 55.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
That was the
That's
day
awful.
after I got a cell phone ticket because I just
Ooh.
swiped yes on my phone call. In California, there's a new law starting June 1st. You literally cannot touch your cell phone.
Yeah. Well, it can't be in your hand, I believe.
No, you can't touch
You
it.
can't.
Is what the cop
Even,
told
Really?
me. All
even
I
if
did,
it's in the. Oh, wow.
all I did was swipe it,
And he saw that?
and I got a ticket.
Oh,
Well, he was
This
sitting right
nigga-
next to me in the traffic.
Got it. I was like, yeah, you
I was
must have
like,
been sitting in your car, dude.
I was like, dude. So I got 2 tickets in 3 days. So,
That's tough.
you know,
You need to listen to some music. It'll take away your.
Take the edge off.
so I went bowling, is what I
Oh,
did,
Oh,
and
there
I
you go.
bowled really bad. So then I didn't care about the tickets anymore.
Oh, there you go.
so your bowling is like my hair tricks, maybe.
Okay. So for me, my job at quite a few opportunities is super high stress. I'm literally in charge of people's ability to pay their bills. Okay. So, and I'm dealing with multi-million dollars things, sometimes, 10, $20 million on a decision I make. And so, you know, I come home and Mike knows, I mean, 100%. The reason I bought my house on a lake, I come home, I jump out in the lake, I go fishing. Might be 10 minutes, might be a half hour, might be an hour and a half. But the whole thing is that's the end of my day. I go out there. When I come back in the house, nothing with work matters anymore.
It's
There you go.
therapeutic for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an expensive hobby, very much like bass. Let's see. What did Bradshaw's here? We are all going through some sort of stress as people, but the basshead community continuously stays supportive of each other, and that's why we thrive in the end.
There you
Agreed.
go. There you go.
Yep. Yeah. Jeremiah style, Vegas style, saying, he's missing his tunes.
Ah,
Yeah, he misses his music in my rides. Yep. You know. So, so Mike, what, in your opinion, as the subject expert, should everybody, not necessarily that they need to go to a professional, but they should have somebody that they can speak openly with about, right? Whether it be a
I,
wife, a brother, a church
yeah,
member.
yeah, isolation is no bueno, right? So and especially if you're dealing with tough stuff, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure, I'm always an advocate of like community, always an advocate of like relying on and finding out who your people are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, because like I'm biased, right? But I think there's always opportunity to see a therapist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get someone who is not connected to anything that you're going through, right? And just has your sole best interest at heart
Mm-hmm.
as a reflecting back to you sort of what might be going on for you, you know. So and again, like people have this sort of this thought about therapy is like, you know, you got to go there, you know, when shit's, you know, going south and, you know, I needed to repent. Like, even if you're going into a relationship and you want to have a successful relationship, like I would highly encourage people to consider therapy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can be a great experience for people. So
Okay. So what
It
about
has
when?
to be at the right time, I find, though, the
Okay.
therapy and the type of therapy and the type of person that you're
uh,
talking to. And
I tell people all the time when I'm doing intakes with them is like, look, therapists, they're like comfy shoes. You may have to try on a few before you're like, you know what, this is my person. You know what I mean?
yes,
Or
you can't ever give up.
or you might get out the first gate. You know what I mean? Because people are people,
Mm-hmm.
right? People are people. So, um, yeah, but you know, it's like
You
you
can't
said, you
give
know,
up. You have to keep trying.
nope, just keep trying. But also, like you also said, you got to really try to figure out what type of therapy you may need, right? And you can just do that by going to talk to someone, expressing sort of what's going on for you and get
Mm-hmm.
recommendations, right? And referrals. So,
Is
And
that?
sometimes it's a combination of things, therapy, medication, behavioral
Mhm.
therapies, music. It's friends and family, like you say, talking to somebody you trust.
yeah, for sure.
So
For sure,
so
for sure.
Stacy, in Canada, how how would somebody go about trying to help, trying to find a therapist out that way?
Well, there's plenty of helplines and
Mm-hmm.
um the the hospital system, the mental health system especially has made it very easy for people to call in and get therapy um, as fast as they can. Of course, we're backed up
Yeah.
with doctors, like all doctors are, but there's plenty of advertising. There's plenty of Facebook, you know, messages. There's plenty of hotlines. There's plenty of people that you can just go and see. You can Google it. It's everywhere. I find there's so many charities out there that help people with mental health problems and youth with mental health problems. You could start young as well with some
Mhm.
of these charities that help you find that right person.
Yeah. Michael, where do we find it here in the States?
Yeah, so
Easiest way.
there's, like Stacey mentioned, like there's sort of like these traditional ways where, you can go walk into the hospital because you're not doing too well, right? And they can do a referral either in-house or refer out, right? Typically when people call me and like I'm maxed out, like I have like a group of therapists that I refer to. And so
Mhm.
like in our world, that's typically what happens, but also psychologytoday.com is a huge repository of therapists, so from marriage and family therapists up to psychiatrists, right? And you can really customize what you're looking for, what type of therapy you're looking for, what insurance you have,
Mhm.
that people take. Psychologytoday.com is like the best sort of like Google, in my
Mhm.
opinion, in terms of find someone to help,
What about like Better Health then? Something like that.
Better health for sure is an option as well, right?
Okay.
For those folks who maybe don't want the traditional, go talk to someone in person
Okay.
or even do telehealth, because I
Mhm.
believe on Better Help you can actually interact over text,
Mhm.
right? In different ways that people find most comfortable,
Uh,
So
you can
I don't know
also.
I don't know much about Better Health other
Oh,
than it's just another avenue to sort of get support,
so
right?
you can
So
actually do set up appointments through phone calls also.
yep.
Yes.
So I actually talked with Better Health before I talked to you about it, Michael, because I was like, hey, I hear advertisements for Better Health. So I called them up and I said, hey, this is the show I'm planning to do. Are you guys interested in participating? Their answer was, we don't really like to do that type of thing, but I can help lead you to direction so that you can research it. And I'm like,
Mm.
well, I would prefer to have somebody who's knowledgeable in the field, speak to stuff. And then obviously I called you, and we were, and you were like, oh, I'd love this. This is my jam. I live, eat, breathe this stuff.
Yeah, and,
So
and it's just me, right? Like
yeah,
like I am my own boss, right? Like I'm
hmm
not this huge corporation that probably has
correct.
liability and like all this other shit attached to sort of people saying the wrong shit, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's good. I mean, like I said, I do appreciate you both coming on talk about this stuff. It's super super important. Um, you know, so I was listening to a podcast the other day. I'm going right after you on this one, Michael. Though,
Okay.
okay. This guy has spent many hundreds of thousands of dollars on therapists, and because he has the money, right? So let's start there. He has a very well-to-do pocketbook, so he can afford
Yeah, he has
to shop.
resources.
He has
Hmm.
resources to shop,
Hmm.
and so he has done that. And he said someone suggested him try Chat GPT,
Hmm.
and he was super impressed by its responses. What are your thoughts on that? Because I mean, that's a totally impartial,
Hmm.
right?
But that's AI though, right?
It
It's
is 100%
artificial intelligence.
AI.
Hmm.
But he said the advice and it absolutely listens, right?
Interesting.
There's no, I mean, that's all it does is listen. It remembers stuff exactly what you said. It can only regurgitate, so it remembers
Hmm.
exactly. And he was really surprised at the therapy he was getting from Chat GPT. Are
Yeah.
you seeing that at all out there?
Yeah, and like people search for things that they feel like are gonna for sure move them in the direction they need to move in,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I think I think with therapy, interacting with the actual human, like what
Mm-hmm.
we know is we help move mountains because of the actual relationship we have with
Mm-hmm.
people, right? And so as a therapist, let's say, Doug, you were coming to see me,
Mm-hmm.
I would bet that some of whatever it is success that you have is because of our actual human connection and relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's the part of where AI can't get it right, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is actually having a human relationship with someone to sort of help mend whatever is going on or help you process through whatever it is that you need to process through,
Yeah.
so now don't get me wrong, ChatGPT is legit. Like I it's it is amazing, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And
Mhm.
again, people are going to seek out and validate what it is that they feel like they need and what's going to be best for them. No harm, no foul, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Um,
maybe maybe that is going to work for him, maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
going to move mountains for him, and that's great. But again, like the component that people, I guess layman, folks don't readily know is, as a therapist, my hope is that our ability to connect in session is also going to help move and uncover things and sort of help self-discovery and like these sort of things, and for an example, right, like let's say I'm seeing someone and I'm a male figure, right, and they've always had absolute horrible male figures in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
right, but for being a therapist, maybe I'm that person that they're able to actually connect with, right, and see a different sort of approach in regards to how two people can have a healthy interaction, and
Mm-hmm.
me being a man,
Mm-hmm.
right, and them not always experiencing a man trying to take advantage of them, or whatever the scenario is, right, to where it's impactful. AI ain't going to be able to do that.
No, no, no. So
You know what I mean?
I'm Jeffrey. I know's heard me say it a bunch of times. But you know, my thing with AI, like I said, I'm not for or against the AI. It's just
Mm-hmm.
what I regurgitating what I heard. Um, I can't reach out and shake AI's hand. I can't feel the warmth of that person's hand in my
Exactly what I'm
hand
talking about.
when I'm
Yep.
done talking to them. Right? I and when you go break bread with somebody, you go have a meal, sit down with somebody and have a meal. I mean, Jeffrey, you've heard me say this more times than I sure
oh yeah.
can count. Uh, You have a different relationship with that person at that moment.
Yep.
That
1000%.
there's a reason that in religion, Christianity specifically, I don't know other religions, but in Christianity and Catholicism, it's Jesus broke bread with his brothers, and there's a reason that they broke bread together. If you're part of any group, I don't care if it's motorcycles, I don't care if it's car audio, I don't care if it's a therapy group, I don't care, whatever it is, you sit down with those people and you break bread, you are on a different connection with those people. And it's going to, I would say, open your heart to that person, to accept them into you and you into them type thing. And that'll never happen with AI. So that's why I don't think I think AI has a place, like you said, like
Mhm.
better health, right? It has a place,
Yep.
but you can't feel the warmth of their hand. Hey, some days I suspect I'm not a hugger, but I suspect you get done with therapy and somebody just needs a hug. I mean, literally, sometimes people just need hugs, right? And you'll never get a hug from AI. I'm right,
That's
right?
yep.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, case in point, that excerpt you shared with me, Doug, about DB drag racing that you had searched for using ChatGPT. A lot of that information was wrong.
Yeah.
It was bits and pieces
Mm-hmm.
that were facts, but the whole context was wrong. So
Yeah.
yeah, you would probably run into a lot of that using artificial intelligence for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, artificial intelligence is a thing, and it's
Mhm.
gonna. I don't see it going away. I see it enhancing what we do, and
Hmm.
it will get better. But like I said,
Yeah, I mean,
the
just
support.
wait until Elon Musk's robots, bro. Like they're sitting in
Uh-oh.
front of you doing therapy. That's a whole different, the whole different ball game.
Well, they're gonna start with the sex robots first, because you got
Oh
to make
man.
money, and then then you'll have a whole new group of clientele.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm addicted to sex with a robot.
yeah,
That's
for
not
sure.
going a good way. So, but yeah. So, like I said, Jeffrey, you have any questions that coming off on you for this?
Yeah, so okay, we talk about the music being therapeutic. Is it at its root a chemical reaction in our brain, or is it like you had mentioned, emotional, that it brings up past emotions that, hey, I felt really good listening to this song. That's why I feel good now. Or is it something chemical in your brain, endorphins or whatever it is that says that's just clicking onto it?
Well, I mean, and Doug knows this answer all too well. It depends, right? Like
Okay.
it depends on sort of what it means for that person, So,
Okay.
but for folks who use it as a coping mechanism, right?
Yes.
Most times it allows you to again get out of this space that your nervous system is sort of what we call dysregulated, right? And it
Mhm.
sort of starts to bring you back to sort of this grounding and centered place with sort of how your anxiety might be taking over, right? Or how you feel things that you really can't describe, but like music sort of just planes you out, you know what I mean? And so a lot of the work that I do is centered around trauma, right? And we know that folks who experience complex trauma, like their nervous system sometimes has to get recalibrated, right? In ways to where, you do your yoga or you're working out or you're listening to music, right? You're doing these things, um, sometimes physical things, right? To sort of reground you and get your nervous system back on track, right? And so, people who experience trauma, like they have sort of this thing going on in the background that's always scanning for danger, you know what I mean? And it's just because your brain is always trying to protect you, right?
Hmm.
Like it's always, even when folks are sleeping who have experienced complex trauma, like your brain is aware of what's going on. That's why people sometimes struggle with sleep, right? Is because their brain can't shut off, because their brain is sort of in this space where it's like, I'm still looking for danger, bro. Although you're sitting here in this big ass house
Yeah.
and, like we got gated community, like all, we got people rolling around, guards and shit. Like like your brain does not sort of recognize that as safety, you know what I mean? In this
Hmm.
sort of
Mm.
prehistoric way, um, so again, it depends, bro. Like it depends on sort of
Yeah.
what's going on for you and the individuals with what music does for you, you know?
And that's true because Wayne Harris, the president of DB Drag Racing, he'll tell you every year at World Finals, all eyes are on him. So he would tell us that he gets PTSD every year because So I'm wondering if maybe when he hears bass, it's a different
Different
chemical
reaction.
reaction,
Right,
and
right.
and he, it's that fight or flight. Maybe he's just gone, and he's only doing it because it's his company, and he wants everyone to have a good time. But deep down, he's like, oh, boom check again. Boom check is a song that a lot of the competitors use, but I've kind of gone that way a little bit. My wife, she was competing last season,
Hmm.
and that's the song that we practice with amongst other competitors. So I mean, I totally love the song. I mean, it's my favorite song. I'll put it on like my Instagram post and stuff like that. But I could see how that could cause people just to be like, oh man, not this song again.
I gotta dive into y'all's community, man. Like this shit sounds interesting, bro. Like in terms of what y'all like. Yeah, this
we
sounds interesting.
we welcome everybody.
Oh
We
Yeah,
yeah.
for
are.
sure.
Just gonna say it's inclusive, that's for
It is.
sure.
So Justin Stolman puts a funny out there. He says, "Why am I happy when I break my windshield, but not happy paying for the new one? Is there a cure for that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they like they have these places around where you can go and like smash stuff to like get your rage out, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
That's right.
so I've got my $1 million idea. I'm gonna
Mhm.
open one of those in every bowling alley whenever there's a tournament. We're gonna put up the 10 pin is the pin that everybody leaves, and it always costs them money, right?
There you go. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put a 10 pin in there with a 12 gauge shotgun with magnum loads. I'll make a
There you go.
mint.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's cool. Stacy, you have any questions for Michael?
Um, I guess one of my questions would just be, um, does the vibrations of my teeth and
Mm.
the air taken away from my breath and those physical things uh add to the experience of listening to bass and listening to music? Um, would you find that that's an all-encompassing?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's a whole bunch of shit going on, right? So like absolutely, absolutely, and specifically, like I mentioned, what Doug sent me, like that's sort of what I got out of it is like when all that stuff is going on, you have to be paying attention to the here and now of what's happening with you, right? I mean, it sounds like you mentioned you know what's going on with your teeth, right? Like you know what's going on with your hair, right? Like you know these things in the moment that's happening, and it brings your sort of focus and energy right in the here and now, right? And people who struggle with you know, some of the stuff that you mentioned and depression and these things, like their mind, like you guys can get looped into like these thoughts and these experiences that um that take you away from the here and now, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
does this put us into a situation like, I mean, I'm not trying to be crude about it, but like where we're training a dog, where when we're sitting in there doing this base experience, it puts us in a place where we have fond memories, like eating butterscotch
Possibly.
candy because your grandmother, when you were a kid, gave you butterscotch every
Possibly.
time you went and visited her. You know, that kind of thing.
Well, that's where I say it depends, right?
Okay.
Like it depends on what's playing out and what you connect to,
Hmm.
and or what's playing out and you're like, whoa, I don't want no part of that sort of thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It just depends.
Yeah.
So but in general, right?
Hmm.
In terms of all things considered, with what you're describing, like that's what it's doing. It's grounding you to be in the moment, in the here and now.
Yeah. So just so you know, I know you've never been part of a hair trick or got a demo from one of these guys, but what she's talking about, it literally draws the breath from you when you get into one of these cars. It sucks the air out of your lungs. You can feel it pull it from your body.
What the hell?
Um,
I gotta check this out, dude.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can literally, like she said, if you have loose feelings in your teeth,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
will rattle, and you will
Holy
hear the
smokes.
rattle within your head. Um,
Mm.
if you have a sinus infection or a sinus thing going on and you sit in one of these cars, it will make your head feel like you want to explode. So
Wow.
I mean, the amount of change in pressure inside the vehicles is so immense. But like you said, it's yeah, it can change your heartbeat, as Stefan says. And
Oh, wow.
so my first experience with a severe amount of bass, I don't know, 15, 16 ish. I walk out of a stereo shop and this guy's playing Madonna, Like a Prayer. Remember it to this day. It hit my chest so hard. Now I know time distorts, right? You know, like your couch was 12 foot long when you were a little kid, but now you
Right,
look at
right,
it and
right,
it's
right,
a
right.
7 foot couch, right?
Right, right, right.
So I do realize that the bass this guy was producing, if he was hitting 150 dBs, which now is just ho hum, but that's like the first basic, hey, I'm starting to get loud, is 150. If this guy was hitting a 150 back when I was 15 years old, he was a god among stereo guys. Okay. But I walked out of the stereo shop and the bass note hit right as I opened the door. about dropped me to my knees. I just felt my heart just go, whoa, stop. And so when I get with bass or I feel bass, that moment is brought to me almost every time. I can, just talking about it now, I can feel the pressure in my chest from that time. So, I mean, that's what led me into becoming part of the bass community.
There you go.
You know, and then since then I've done what I do. You know, I third loudest guy in the world at one point for my class, and I'm not Jeffrey level. I don't have multiple championships, and you know, been the loudest guy for multiple years consecutive. But definitely, like I said, what she's describing is not inaccurate. It literally draws the breath from your body.
Yeah.
So.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just that we're a glutton for pain, and
Yeah.
you know we want to
Well,
cause pain on ourselves, so
well,
we
yeah, maybe,
torture
maybe.
ourselves.
Well, Jeffrey
Maybe.
does jujitsu, so you know he's all about the pain.
Oh, that's a different kind of pain. Well,
But what if
it does
it's
choke
not
you out.
painful? It's what if it's
Ah,
not
yeah, if
painful
it's
to
not
you? It's
painful.
very peaceful to you.
Hmm.
It depends on the person. I would consider it very peaceful and calming to have my teeth chattering and the nose hairs wiggling, even though you
Yep.
don't want anybody to know that you have them. And you know, uh, it's and also something should be said for SQ demos. They
Nobody
are.
cares about SQ.
Sound quality.
I know, but music in itself, some people
Yes.
only need a little bit of music. They don't need that body
Yeah.
bass that
Yeah.
drops you to your knees.
So,
Um,
so with that, I actually spoke about that song before. My Trans Am that I had when I first met my wife. I had 6x9s in the back. I had some fill, and when I would play Hell's Bells on there, and the bell at the beginning, zero bass. But
Zero bass.
dude, it was like, oh yeah,
Gives you the
this is me.
shivers.
This is me, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's definitely not, and it doesn't have to be loud, like you said. Stefan will say he says, hey there now, because Stefan is a SQ and a SPL guy. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously, if you sit in a car that is tuned, staged correctly, it is, you know, my wife, she loves concerts, right? And that's her music. And she would never sit in a car that could produce what a concert can. But there are tons of people out there that do nothing but make their cars become its own personal concert.
Wow.
And
Yes.
and the work that goes into that is a phenomenal amount of work. I don't want to shortchange those people at all. So
No. It takes a lot of work to create the base that we are discussing, and a lot of teamwork and a lot of family base heads coming together. And
yeah, no, that like I said, we are a community. You know, just like any other community, we have bad people, we have good people, we have, you know, we fight like cats and dogs, brothers and sisters. But, you know, really, when someone goes down, someone needs help, this community stands behind them strong.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I agree with that.
There you go.
they absolutely do. We truly do have a community, and you know that by definition. So
That expands so far.
yeah, I mean, how else in the world? You know, Jeffrey and I. Once again, I mean, Michael, you're not part of the show and stuff, but I mean, Jeffrey and I talk about all the time how in what world would I know a guy that's an actor, jujitsu, delivery driver guy, short Asian dude out of L.A. How in my life would I've ever even came into contact with him if it wasn't for car audio?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And here we are doing this together. Bass girl, Stacy,
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
old man Mike, her father-in-law who has passed, um, you know, he lived in his van, literally lived in his van,
Yeah.
and he would save all the money he could to either buy car stereo stuff or compete at car shows.
Yeah. And
You know.
he'd always have the van demoing music no matter what, whether he was by the
Yep.
van or not by the van. We put 815s in Pops's van for
Mhm.
me one year and used that in his honor. It was an amazing experience.
Oh, you guys still have his van?
Yes, we
Is
do.
it still got the stripes on it?
No, we painted it purple actually
Oh, okay, for your hair.
for
Um,
my hair. Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, so her father-in-law, yes, old man Mike for Justin, yes. Um, one year we had a car costume contest. It was on Halloween, and Mike gave my kids markers and told them to go decorate his van.
Wow.
Mm,
Yeah.
So
that's
he
good
drove
stuff.
around for, I don't know, probably a year with these drawings that my little kids drew all over his van.
Yeah.
You
There
know,
you go.
He
Mike.
loved children.
Oh yeah, he came over my house and he helped me install my flooring. He was a flooring installer from before he retired from that stuff, and he literally drove out to my house, stayed in his van out in front of my house for 2-3 days, and him and I just installed my flooring on the entire first floor of my old house.
Good
Um,
memories.
yeah,
And then he passed that on to his son. Danny's a
Mm.
flooring installer now as well.
Oh,
yeah,
So,
wow.
but he grew up on the job. So,
right,
uh,
yep. Let's
Oh
see here.
man, how did he get into bass? That's a good question.
actually, it was Pops. Danny had to sell all his stereo stuff to come to Canada and visit his
Mhm.
mom.
Yep.
And so he
Oh,
sold it to Pops and then came to Canada, and that's where we met. And then Pops found these shows and said we had to be back in the States by a certain date because of Autorama or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So Danny and I made sure to be back in the States and went to the first show and fell in love. And we've been doing bass ever since. It's been a wonderful life together. We both
mhm.
enjoy it very much, and we both encourage each other very much in the sport. So it's a good communication is key in good health, mental health too.
Yeah,
Yep.
I could see that it has a deeper meaning for you. This music, this the bass scene, SPL. Wow, yeah, talking about your father-in-law, right?
Yes.
Father.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. That already is like a sense of family, and him sharing his love for bass with you. So I can see how
yeah,
that can resonate in how you are, and how you're doing the hair trick for is it for donation, or what is it,
Yeah. Hair
hair
trick
for
for
tricks
hell.
for mental health.
for
Yep.
mental health. That's right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
hair tricks for mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Hey, there, my daughter Kelsey's popping in on the chat there. She's all old
Oh,
man Mike. Yes, it's old man Mike. Uh,
Yeah, old man Mike. And he always wore his Hawaiian shirts and
mhm.
loud print shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to know certain people by their uh qualities and their unique
Mhm.
Mm.
personalities, and but everybody in the community comes together for the base, which is what makes all of us so happy. And
Oh yeah.
that's what comes across to me at competitions is how happy everybody is.
So Stacy, especially like in Canada, you guys have a very short um, competition season, right? And
Yes.
so what do you do when you're out of season?
When I'm out of season,
Hmm.
we work on base.
Okay.
Oh.
we work on the vehicles and things like that. Music is always a part of my life, so
Okay.
we incorporate it the best that we can, whether it's winter or summer or fall or and in Canada here we just did a 4-day show where it was pouring rain, but it never stopped us.
There you go.
You yeah, you just put your head up and a little water never hurt anybody and you play that bass.
Yeah, definitely. My daughter says make more maple syrup.
Right.
Yes, that's for sure. I should send her some, eh?
Hey,
Ooh, there you go.
wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I'm just saying. I go through a lot of it. I buy the Costco pack for a reason. Uh, but all right, Stacy, we've already hit our hour. Like I said, it's gonna go quick. Any final thoughts or anything from you?
Um, I guess my biggest thing would just be to say that you never know what anybody's going through. So be kind and offer a demo, whether it's small or big, and enjoy the music. And definitely get out there and try some hair trick happiness.
Yep. And I promise you, nobody will ever, if they have the time, nobody will ever decline getting a demo. Doesn't matter how big, how small your system is.
That's for sure. Yeah,
All
no,
right.
and that's what you should give is as many demos as possible because it's healthy for yourself as well as for the person getting the demo.
Yeah, show your pride in the work that you
Exactly.
put in.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
All right. Anything from you, Michael?
Well, I just want to acknowledge Stacy for being courageous and vulnerable,
Yeah.
talking about sort of what's going on for you and in this space, right? And so huge courageousness from you. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I no, hey, thank you for being on, letting me talk about this stuff. I think one of the things people don't know about is 988, right? Which is
Mm,
it's similar to 911, but it's 988 for mental health. So
mhm.
if folks want to Google that and check it out, please do so. And that's about it, man. That's all I got.
Okay. Anything that like people can follow you or um, check out your practice and stuff like that?
Nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. I have.
Okay. No, that's fine. I
I'm
just
I'm I'm like tapped out right now. So
all right. That's not a bad problem to have.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I truly appreciate that
Be-
marketing opportunity.
yeah, but before we get to mine and Jeffrey's final word, I do have a question on you. So, for you as a mental therapist, does that um, create issues to where you wouldn't, because you can't just absorb everybody. Do you have to bounce off, through your group or whatever? So you do your own mental therapy, that way, or
I do jujitsu.
okay,
So
Oh, there you
so so I do that. That helps me build capacity, right?
mm-hmm.
And I have two little kids. Like we're always bumping around, and my kids play soccer, so that fills my bucket. So
go.
it allows me to get back in the game with everything. You know what I mean? Not just
Okay,
work, but just my relationships and
mm-hmm.
everything. So, but I'll plug this jujitsu. If if you're struggling and try jujitsu, dude, it will humble you. It'll ground
Yes,
you.
yes.
It'll really do it's amazing. It's absolutely phenomenal. So
You
it,
should do it while you're listening to music.
absolutely. It'll
We've
definitely
done
get your
that.
nervous system right.
All right, Jeffrey, what do you got?
Um, I think just this podcast here today, there's kind of like this underlining um, relationship or a word, I guess we could say, is community, whether it's basic community or a community with your family, friends, and doing what you love while we're in this community is going to help us feel good about ourselves, um, help other people feel good about themselves, um, 'cause we could all share our feelings, and we can listen to other people in that community and we could, offer each other advice. And I think um, that's something more we should. That's something we should do more of, I think. But finding a community that you can enjoy times with yourself and other people is something that everyone should probably try to look for. Should strive to look for. It
Yeah.
just so happens we're all into bass. We love bass, and the music just does stuff for us.
Okay. And for me, next week, let me pull his name up real quick. Steven. Wow, I'm gonna butcher this name. Teichendorf. He is out of Wyatt's area. T.I.C.A. He's from the Wisconsin area,
Wisconsin.
and he's a newer competitor, whatever. Anyway, so he'll be on the podcast next week. We're back to our regularly scheduled program. But I know this is something completely different. But as I mentioned, I can't even tell you how many times our podcast isn't just about competition or rules or any of that stuff. It's about the whole person, right? We invite Bass Girl on. We invite Gary Killian on. We are talking not about just them and their bass accomplishments. We care about the whole person. And that's really what Jeffrey and I are trying to get across in this podcast is we want to share with you the community of bass heads, not just that they're bass heads. You can get that information anywhere. Hey, this guy did 170 dBs with 215s. You can get that information. We're not here to share that information. We're here to share the whole person. And this is Jeffrey and I's attempt at trying to share the whole person. So hopefully this is something you guys appreciated. And I will say, Michael, I had never even heard of 988 before. So, that's a mental health hotline?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
it's like 911, but for mental health.
Okay. So it's not the suicide hotline. It's just a mental health hotline.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Like I said, I personally have never heard of it. So,
I added a link.
I see that in there. That's what reminded me. So is that a California only thing, or?
I don't believe so.
Not sure.
Okay. So, all right. Well, I see Gary Killian popped into the chat. Nice to see you, Gary. I told him we were going to be doing this today, But the biggest thing I want to get from this whole is everybody's more than just a stereo show, more than just a ride, more than just a subwoofer, more than just a manufacturer. They are a complete person. You never know where that one person's coming from. You don't know their grandmother had passed away earlier that day. Their kid may have got, sent to the hospital on the way to the show. Just found out they have kidney disease. You don't know anything that's going on in this person's life. Give them a second. Be kind to them. Be patient with them. You will find if you just give out just the smallest amount of grace, you will connect with people on a level that you don't normally connect on them. And that's really the bulk of what I personally am trying to say, and I'm sure the rest of the people here would agree with that. It's the connections we make are, especially in the car stereo world, tend to be much longer and lasting. Some people have religion. They go to church. For some people, this is their church. For some people, this is their therapy. Keep that in mind when you're speaking to somebody at a show. When you explain to somebody something you do and you invite them to a show, keep that in mind. That this might be your church or your therapy, and this might be a way to lead them to be part of your community in a better way. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for being in here. I really appreciate you guys that stuck in, hung out, listened to this. Definitely a departure from what we normally do, but super important in my mind. It is Men's Mental Health Month. So, if you do need help, there are people out there. Hit Stacy up in the private message. She can get you hooked up with somebody in Canada, or at least guide you in the direction if you're in Canada.
Definitely.
988, a great way to go. Hit me up, and I'll do my best to try and help guide you if that's what you need help with. We're here to help, and we just want you guys to know that we do appreciate you guys listening and being part of this. So with that being said, I guess we'll see you guys next week at 5:30. We're 6:30 California time, the only time that matters. Doesn't even matter if you're in Canada. California still matters. But we will see you guys next week on This Week